Minute past the hour in this morning, a man accused of raping and nearly killing an elderly woman is back on the streets without a GPS monitor.
Yeah, and that's actually left neighbors on edge. Police arrested 57-year-old Ernest Casillas 2 months ago in the March rape and attempted murder of a woman in her northeast Albuquerque condo. Police say DNA linked him to the scene. The victim identified him as her attacker. Now records show the case is temporarily dismissed. That's until the DA's office refiles charges. People familiar with the case, they're upset this morning.
I was disgusted when I first saw that. I was just truly disgusted and scared.
So the DA's office says it needs more time to gather evidence before taking the case to court. Casillas originally told police he was not with the victim the night of that attack. Turn out to this shocking new video released by an anti-abortion group is sparking anger in Washington this morning over this highly edited video that shows a Planned Parenthood executive discussing graphic details of abortion. Now, that has Planned Parenthood reacting strongly this morning, saying that it has done nothing wrong. Take a listen to this.
What price range would you?
I'm going to throw a number out. I would say it's probably anywhere from $30 to $100, depending on the facility and what's involved.
The $30 to $100 price, that's per specimen that we're talking about, right? Yeah.
Yes. Supplied today.
So in the overly edited video cut down to 9 minutes, the group says you can hear a Parenthood executive casually talking about selling pieces of aborted fetuses. But the organization says that is not true, and the talk of money was in reference to transportation cost. There was also talk about profit over selling organs and donating fetuses to science. Republicans on Capitol Hill are now demanding an investigation into all of this, some pushing to defund Planned Parenthood. New Mexico does have a local chapter.
Developing this morning, APD is searching for a shoplifter who they say had a gun in several Lowe's stores. That man took power tools, and when he walked out of the stores, he had a gun in one hand. They say he hit stores on the west side in Rio Rancho and Los Lunas. So far, he's not threatened anybody, but police are worried he could use the gun if somebody does try to stop him. Happening today, Dylan Roof, the man accused of killing 9 people in a Charleston church last month, is expected to appear in court.
Yeah, among the items up for discussion in the hearing, an order signed by a judge last week establishing a gag order that prevents the release of any documents and the 911 calls related to the case. Several news outlets are challenging this order. Roof may also be formally indicted during the court proceedings. Police say the 9 victims were attending a Bible study class at Emmanuel AME Church when Roof opened fire.
Let's turn to a developing story out of Maine this morning, where former President George H.W. Bush is recovering after breaking a bone in his neck. This accident happened after the 91-year-old fell at his summer home in Maine. In a tweet, a spokesman for Bush 41 says he is stable, he's fine, and that he will be in a neck brace.
And we wish him well this morning. Take a look of this wild video out of Colombia, which shows the moment a Colombian military aircraft came under attack, then exploded. Right there, it exploded shortly after landing. The military said an explosive was manually set off, and the Colombian government said 4 soldiers were killed, 6 others were injured in this attack. Guerrillas are taking responsibility for the attack at this time. Both sides have been moving closer to negotiations to end the fighting there.
Time is 6:05. His name is being heard around the planet as we get a closer look at his monumental discovery.
But few are actually aware of Clyde Tombaugh's work, other work that is, that could change though, and it's because of a new project right here in his home state. News 13's Catherine Mazzone has all the details.
Spacecraft New Horizons has given the world a closer look at his biggest accomplishment, the discovery of dwarf planet Pluto.
There's nothing like seeing essentially a brand new object right in front of your eyes, and it was shrouded in a big cloud of mystery before.
But it's a lot harder to see the work of New Mexico's own Clyde Tombaugh. That is, unless you live in New Mexico.
Set up an appointment and let's start digging through some archives.
That's because documents, photos, letters, it's all kept here at the NMSU library. Lucky for those interested in the pioneer's work,
Dr. Tombaugh kept everything.
From personal and professional correspondences to everyone who ever asked him for an autograph. And thanks to new efforts by NMSU, it won't be long before the world has access.
We recently started on the digitization project of the papers,
making his work available on the computer, including this 23-year-old letter about the New Horizons project. the same spacecraft that's now carrying Tombaw's ashes and that gave the world views of the dwarf planet Tombaugh never got to see.
We were all very excited.
Catherine Mazzone, KRQE News 13.
So neat that he has ties to us. Tombaugh has been getting a lot of attention this week, even from some New Mexico lawmakers. Listen to this. Tom Utah tweeted this out yesterday, saying, quote, New Mexico's Clyde Tombaugh got closer to Pluto than anyone before. Perfect tribute to the man who discovered Planet X. And we tip our hats to him this morning. And we start with new news this morning. The troubled State Department that's supposed to protect New Mexico kids is under fire once again. Lawmakers asked the Children's Youth and Families Department for a lot of information in the wake of the Omari Varela killing last session.
Now, 8 months after the deadline, some legislators say the department still has not delivered. News 13's Catherine Mazzone has more on that. Catherine?
Good morning, Adam. Crystal. One senator says he's been pushing for answers from CYFD since before Omari's death by inviting the department to community meetings, but says CYFD was always a no-show. He says a formal request isn't working either.
It's almost comical that we can't get this information. I mean, this is, very, very important stuff here.
Senator Michael Padilla is frustrated lawmakers can't get their hands on information he believes could help improve CYFD.
Now we're having to, really practically beg the CYFD department to help get this information.
The troubled department has been under a microscope since the kicking death of 9-year-old Omari Varela, police say by his mother. His case shed light on major problems within CYFD. 3 times APD was called to investigate abuse against Omari. There were 9 referrals to CYFD. Soon after, a firestorm of questions erupted for CYFD. Even the governor weighed in.
It makes no sense for an officer and caseworker to investigate the same incident and never share notes.
Lawmakers passed a joint memorial last session asking CYFD for answers, like the number of cases their Protective Services Division opened. They asked for a report by November. CYFD tells us it delivered, but Padilla says it was incomplete.
A director from the CYFD department came to one of the legislative committees that the report was to be delivered to and rattled off just a few numbers and a few data points.
So News 13 compared the joint memorial with the minutes from that committee meeting. Of the 16 categories requested, CYFD directly addressed 7. 2 were not addressed at all. Since it was a verbal report, a CYFD director told the committee a complete written report would be ready within weeks and presented at public meetings. Padilla says the public is still waiting.
That was never done, so I'm very concerned about that, and that's completely unacceptable.
For several days, we tried to work with CYFD to get an on-camera interview with the CYFD secretary, but we're told she would not be available. They did send us a statement, but it did not answer our questions. If you want to read it, I've posted it along with the story on our website, KRQE.com. Back to you.
Thank you, Catherine. We've also posted the joint memorial listing the questions for CYFD and the minutes of the meeting so that you can see for yourself the department's answers. To be clear, a joint memorial is not a law. It's a recommendation.
And the trouble for CYFD does not end there this morning. An employee sits behind bars accused of paying young girls for nude pictures. Santa Fe police say 50-year-old Benjamin Anaya has worked in the CYFD mailroom for nearly 20 years now. CYFD says he never had contact with kids through his job, but he did contact young girls on Facebook and through texting, according to police. Santa Fe police tell News 13 after a tip a few weeks ago, police decided to go undercover, posing as a teen girl and chatting with Anaya online.
He actually did meet our detectives with the intention of having relations with him, thinking it was a 14-year-old female.
Now, from there, police say he did confess to chatting with girls for 2 years. He is now facing 5 charges, including child solicitation and exploitation of a child. CYFD says he's on administrative leave at this time. You can read the full criminal complaint on our KRQE News app or on our website, krqe.com.
Time now is 6:35. It's been a little over a week since 6 teens, all 17 and under, were arrested for the murder of an Albuquerque bartender. And this morning, we're hearing from someone who knew one of those teen suspects very well, a grandmother.
They're asking where were the parents. Well, she's not here, but I am.
Carla Palomino is the grandmother of 14-year-old Enrique, one of the youngest 6 suspects. Carla says she's been caring for him since his mother went to jail. She is not defending her grandson the way that Linda Hubler defended her son earlier this week. Hubler went on camera claiming that it wasn't her fault and even seemed to point the finger at the victim's family. Carla says she does not agree with that stance.
I do not support what the mother said on the news, saying that she supports her son no matter what he is or what he does. I'm sorry, I don't.
However, she does say that her grandson is not a killer. Carla says Enrique's father has been in prison most of his life, and Enrique and his siblings have all been wards of the state. Carla has been in trouble herself. Records show that she has arrests for misdemeanor shoplifting and DWI. This morning, the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office is investigating how a body got to the West Mesa in Albuquerque. It was discovered yesterday morning near the shooting range just west of Atrisco Vista. Deputies are investigating whether it was a suicide or maybe something else. No other details have been released. 6:37, let's turn to a live look in Washington, D.C. this morning. And happening there today, the vice president will talk about Iran.
Yeah, the goal today is to sway skeptics and critics on the historic agreement. This comes just a day after President Obama held a news conference to explain why he felt compelled to make this deal. Congress now has 60 days to review the landmark agreement and potentially pass legislation barring the president from lifting sanctions against Iran.
This video here may serve as a reminder that you never know who's watching. A would-be robber sort of strolled into a store, and you can see he pushes that guy in front of him aside. Then he pulls out a knife and demands cash. But what he doesn't know is that man, Daniel Gaske, is an ex-Marine and a current firefighter. He jumped on his back and took him to the ground. Firefighter was able to keep him down until police arrived. Much bigger guy.
Yeah.
Something to know.
Take a look at this road rage real time. This new video out of Yuma shows what happened right after a biker cut off a driver. You can see the driver get out of the car at a stoplight. He walks up to the bikers, punches one right in the face before pushing a female biker. The pair reacts, taking the man to the ground and calling police. That's when he tells them he assaulted them because they cut him off earlier. The driver may face several charges here, including assault and impaired driving.
Just never know what's going to happen.
No, and you actually posted a question on Facebook about this. Do you guys encounter road rage often?
A couple of pictures and let us know. Comment and let us know what you've experienced.